Hi friends, Krista here. Thanks for stopping by Books and Jams. It is time to do a mid-month wrap-up. I'm a little bit late getting this mid-month wrap-up in. We are already at the 18th of the month today when I'm filming, and I try to get these done closer to the 15th, but it's not that far, just a couple days away. But it's going to be even later by the time this goes live. It's fine. It's fine. We'll just consider it my part one of my September wrap-up. I do have 7 books that I've completed, and all of them are a part of a series. So I'm very proud of that because Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand and I are hosting Series September this month. And I'm really glad that I've been making some good progress. So as I go through these books, they're not in any kind of order anymore, but I will tell you which of the spots on the bingo board, which prompts these cover. I am hoping to fully cover the board by the end of the month. We'll see how that goes. We'll see. Well, I'm going to start with the one that I don't have here. I read this, I started it when I was home at my mom's, and I really hope I didn't leave it home at my mom's, but I think my trunk hasn't fully been cleaned out yet, and it's possible it's in there. Well, the first one that I'll talk about today is The Sweetness at the Bottom of the Pie by Alan Bradley. This is the first in the Flavia de Luce mystery series, so we can use this right in that first space. Let's get it started. This is a mystery series, and our main character is Flavia. I said Flavia, it's Flavia. She is an 11-year-old chemist. She absolutely adores chemistry, and she's very smart, has a very good memory, and you have to suspend belief a little bit as far as the things that she figures out throughout the course of this mystery. But I really enjoyed it, and I listened to it on audio. I was listening to it on my way home to my mom's, which is about a 9.5-hour drive. It's pretty long in the car, and it wasn't holding my attention right away. But once I got into the book a little bit more, I was able to listen to it on the way back and was fully able to connect with it, and it kept me awake, and I was invested at that point. But in our story, Flavia is, like I said, an 11-year-old little girl. She studies chemistry, and she's very, very intelligent. She has these 2 older sisters, I think Ophelia and Daphne. Like, they don't get along. Often the sisters bully her quite a bit. But she wakes up early one morning, goes outside to get a little bit of fresh air, go for a walk, and finds a dead man, or an almost dead man, in her garden. She doesn't know exactly what to do except to go talk to their gardener, who she really has a very close and special bond with. And then together they decide to call the police, and the inspector comes, and Flavia wants to be right in the midst of it, figuring out what's going on. Of course, the inspector's like, little girl, please go inside, go get us some water, go get us some tea, whatever. They don't want her around. But throughout the book, Flavia does her part to try to figure out what happened. And she trots around on her bike and gets her nose into everybody's business and puts some things together and helps to solve this crime. It was a lot of fun. I gave this one 4 stars, and I'm definitely very interested in continuing on with the series. And I'm just in a mystery kind of a mood. When I was headed home on that trip, and Flavia de Luce wasn't cutting it for me, I then started Gregor the Overlander, which also wasn't cutting it, but I did finish this one later in the week. This is by Suzanne Collins, who wrote Hunger Games. It's a middle grade series. There are 5 books in this series, and Gregor is a young kid. He's tasked with watching his little sister at the end of the school day when the mom is still not quite home from work yet. So he's down in the laundry room with his sister, his 2-year-old or 3-year-old sister. She's a toddler. And he's 11. They live in New York City. He's down in the laundry room taking care of the laundry. The little sister sees something in the heating vent thing is off, or wiggles or blows or lights up or something. And he goes to check it out with her, and they get sucked into the Underland, which they did not know existed. And so there's this whole adventure story of Gregor in the Underland, and he and his sister are called Overlanders. Underneath New York City is this whole land called the Underland. The humans down there live beside bats and huge bugs and spiders, and there just is a really big, fun adventure that takes place. It kind of changes things in his life forever. And this is the first, like I said, of a 5-book series, and I'm definitely interested in continuing with this. I gave this one 3 stars, but I'm still interested enough to continue with the series. once this and Flavia weren't cutting it for me, I did switch to a rom-com, which is a lot more along the lines of what I like to listen to in the car, just because I feel like it's fun and lighthearted and I don't have to pay too much attention. And so I picked up To Love and to Loathe by Martha Waters. I should have realized, first of all, that this is the second in a series, not the first. I haven't read the first yet, To Have and to Hoax. I own it, but for some reason I was thinking this one was the first one, but it's not. This is kind of a Regency era enemies to lovers type of a situation. We follow Diana, who has been widowed, and Jeremy, who is kind of known for his rakish type ways. Diana and Jeremy have a very bantery relationship. They are constantly picking at each other and very sarcastic with each other, and their banter is very strong. They think they hate each other, but do they really? There's just a lot of tension always between them. And then that kind of bickering tension turns into sexual tension. This did have a little bit more of the bedroom scenes than I prefer. Not too many, but I did love the banter between the two of them. And at one point in their arguing at one particular ball, Diana kind of makes a bet with Jeremy that he is going to be married within the year. And then she takes it upon herself to throw all of these women at his feet and kind of push him towards certain relationships. All the while, the two of them are constantly being thrown together and pushed together and pulled together because of their chemistry that they have with each other. Their lifestyles are definitely not aligned with my values at all, but it was a fun and kind of rompy type of a read, which was definitely what I needed to wake me up after the first two books that I tried on that trip were not working. So I gave this one 3 stars. It was cute and fun, and I will read the rest in the series, but they probably will not be staying on my shelves. But yeah, it was fun. It was a fun ride. As far as the bingo board goes, I don't think I forgot to say. So this could be You Own It, Now Start It, because I own all 5 of them. So we'll count this one for You Own It, Now Start It. We'll count this one for nothing. Maybe Out of the Box, because I read it out of order. We could do that. I read it out of order. We'll count it as Out of the Box. And then Flavia Deluce was Let's Get It Started. For Double It Up, the second prompt on that across the top of the bingo board, I read 2 books in the same series. So I have The Whispered Word and The Book of Candlelight, both by Ellery Adams. These are the sequel and the 3rd book in the trilogy of the Secret Book and Scone Society. And I've talked about these a lot in my weekend reading vlog recently. And they're mysteries, they're cozy, they're set in this town of Miracle Springs. I really love the friendship between the women that are the kind of the center of the story. And Nora in particular is a bookstore owner, and I just want to go have a chai and sit at her bookstore, look at all the quirky, vintagey type of tchotchke stuff that she gets for shelf decoration, and have her pick some books for me that will speak to whatever situation I'm in. Like, I want to go visit this town of Miracle Springs so bad. I loved the mysteries in here. As cozy as the town is and her bookshop is, the mysteries are pretty serious, and there's a couple deaths in each one. And in particular, the Book of Candlelight, there was some racial, like the man who died was a Cherokee, and they were not sure if that had to do with his heritage. But then there were also some hate crimes as well, or at least one in particular hate crime in here that made this a little difficult at times, but also it was kind of enveloped in this cozy setting, and with these women whose friendship is just so strong, and I love the way that they support each other. I really am loving this series. The one thing that I do mention in my vlog that I don't love is that there's not a lot of cursing, but when they do curse, it's often taking God's name in vain, and that's like the worst form of cursing, in my opinion. That happens rarely. It's not like on every page or anything, but it's still so cringy when I read it, and I just wanted to say that because I know some of you care about that as well. But I did read those 2 books, and I gave them both 4 stars. Potentially they could be 5-star reads if it were not for that bit of language that's in there. For A Blast from the Past, I finally finished a trilogy. This could also be That's a Wrap, but I'm hoping to have at least one more wrap up before the end of the month. But I have 500 Miles from You by Jenny Colgan. This is the 3rd book in the Bookshop on the Shore trilogy. I just find these books so cozy and heartwarming. I think this is how I started out my series September, and it was just such a lovely, lovely read. I gave it 4 stars and not 5, mainly because I find books like this forgettable. They don't really stick with me for a long time, other than that feeling of, oh yeah, I really loved that. That was so cozy. That was really nice. In this one, we follow Lissa, who is a visiting nurse in the London area, but then some kind of tragedy happens that she just cannot get past. So she's kind of forcefully encouraged to take part in this swapping program. And so Cormac, who is a nurse in the Highlands of Scotland, comes to London and takes all of her patients. And she goes to this town in the Highlands, which is where Bookshop on the Shore and Bookshop on the Corner take place. She goes to that same town and takes all of his patients. So it's a totally different setting for her, and they have to communicate on email about their patients and about how things are going. And of course, they strike up at first a friendship, and then a little bit more than that. And she kind of falls in love with this little Highland town, and I would as well. It's right on Loch Ness. It's just lovely. I really enjoy these books very, very much. The final book that I finished so far this month is the first book in the Chronicles of Pridane by Lloyd Alexander. This is the book of 3, and we follow Taryn, who is an assistant pig keeper, and his job is to take care of this pig who has some prophetic abilities, but the pig runs off one day and he's not supposed to leave the town, the village where he lives at all, because there are dangers afoot in the lands around. But he has to go find his pig, Hen Pen. So he goes out and he finds danger. He finds the Horned King and his armies. There is a big evil lord, and all of these evil armies are kind of gathering together for this big fight, and yada yada. And he meets some characters and creatures along the way, gets put in prison for a bit. He just meets all of these characters and has all of these adventures. This is one, I gave this 3 stars. As I was reading throughout this book, I could 100% see kids, like when I was nannying for the 4 kids, I could see this being a read aloud for them and they would love it. There was humorous parts, just the names that the different characters have, and the different situations that they get into, I could see kids getting a kick out of them. I could feel like, I just kept feeling like this would be such a perfect and fun read aloud to have. I didn't completely love it, but I will continue with the series because this is the first in a series of 5 books, I believe. And one of them, 4 or 5, is a Newbery winner, which I would like to read all the Newbery winners, which is a children's book award. I would like to read all of them. It's one of my kind of bucket list goals for my lifetime, but I don't want to start right in on book 5. I want to read all the ones leading up to it. So I feel like this sets the scene for some more adventures with Taryn in particular. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. But I definitely will continue with this series. So here are these 6 plus the Flavia de Luce novel. I started Flavia 1, 2, 3, 4 are brand new series that I've started. Yikes. Good thing I just broke up with 10. But this one is a completion. I finished this trilogy now. And then I've read all the ones that I own so far in the Secret Book and Scone Society, but I think there are 4 or 5 in that series now too. So that is my reading so far in September. I'm very pleased to be making such good progress with my books that are in series. I would love to hear how you are doing. What has been one of your favorite reads so far this month? Are you reading any series or not? Just reading other things? That's totally fine as well. Let's chat about how your reading is going so far this month in the comments below. You guys know I love talking with you down there. And that's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you hanging out with me for a bit. And I look forward to talking with you in another video very soon. Bye.